I've hidden the biggest secret of my life. But in this dazzling lit auditorium, it's about to be laid bare before my entire family. I, Laura, 37 years old, sit quietly in the back row at my younger sister Anna's promotion ceremony, my hand gripping a cold pumpkin spice latte, its flavor stirring memories of Ohio autumns when I dreamed of becoming an astronaut. The light from the chandelier glints off Anna's sparkling metal, making me feel even smaller. My parents, who once called me a failure, stand there beaming with pride for Anna, not bothering to glance my way. Laura? Oh, she just does some pointless stuff. My mom says to a guest right in front of me, her laughter ringing like a knife, slicing into my heart. I slip on my earbuds, letting Billie Holiday's jazz soothe my racing heart. My cat, Newton, my companion through long nights in the lab, is probably curled up on the couch at home, waiting for me. I flip open the small notebook in my bag, where I've jotted down a quote from Oprah Winfrey. You become what you believe. This morning, I listened to Oprah's podcast, hoping to find a spark of courage to walk through these doors without feeling invisible. But the old pain still clings to me, like when Anna glanced at me with a puzzled look as she stepped onto the stage, as if I were a stranger in my own family. As a kid, I built rocket models from cardboard boxes, my eyes lighting up watching shuttle launches on TV. But my parents just shook their heads. Laura, you should be more practical like Anna. Anna, the basketball star, then the military officer, was always the light in their eyes. Meanwhile, I, despite earning a college scholarship, despite staying up all night coding AI systems, remained a shadow. I sip my latte wondering if I have the strength to face those hurtful words, or if I'll forever be Laura who never amounted to anything. The base commander, a tall man with a stern face, steps up to the podium. Barely pay attention. Not until I got an email from the military this morning, a thank you for an AI project, which I brushed off as a mistake. The commander's voice booms. The AI system that saved soldiers was created by someone sitting right here. He looks straight at me. The auditorium falls silent. Anna turns around, her eyes wide. My parents, for the first time tonight, look at me. Their faces pale. Miss Laura, are you the director? The commander asks, his voice full of respect. Everything I've kept hidden, the nights crying alone, the doubts, the endless hours in the lab, now lies exposed under the lights. I clutch my notebook, feeling Oprah's words whisper in my mind. Has anyone out there ever felt as invisible as I have? And do I dare stand up, letting the world and my own family see who I really am? Ohio's sky is turning golden. The autumn breeze carrying the scent of dry leaves drifting through the window of the old house where I grew up. I stand in the garage, surrounded by wires and circuit boards, holding a homemade rocket model, my eyes gleaming as I imagined soaring among the stars. But every time I eagerly showed it to my parents, they just frowned. Don't chase pipe dreams. Focus on being like Anna. Anna, my younger sister with her perfect basketball shots, was always celebrated as the shining star of the family. I, on the other hand, was the faded child, my passion for science dismissed as childish play. Back then, I found solace in those evenings watching the Super Bowl with my family, even though I barely understood football. I sat there pretending to be excited just to feel a sliver of closeness with my parents. But when Anna scored in her school games, they clapped and cheered, while I got only a half-hearted pat on the shoulder. Keep trying, you'll find something you're good at. Those words, though gentle, stabbed at my self-esteem like a knife. I started to wonder if I truly belonged here. When Anna got accepted to West Point, my parents threw a huge party, inviting the whole town. I stood in the corner of the room, watching them brag about their golden girl. No one asked what I was doing, even though I'd just won a master's scholarship in artificial intelligence. That night, I retreated to my room, turned on the TV, and watched Oprah Winfrey's show. She said, "Don't let anyone define your worth." I scribbled that quote in my notebook, determined to turn my passion for science into my own flame, even if no one saw it. Now, I work in a small lab in Columbus, where fluorescent lights and the hum of computer fans are my companions. Newton, my gray cat, often curls up by my keyboard as if reminding me not to give up. I'm developing an AI system that could save soldiers' lives, but every line of code is a battle against self-doubt. The male colleagues in the lab, with their skeptical glances, make me feel like an outsider in this world. "Are you sure you can handle this?" one asked, his tone dripping with doubt. I bit my lip, stayed silent, but inwardly vowed to prove them wrong. The day Anna called about her promotion ceremony, I was debugging code in the lab. "Come, okay," she said, her voice cheerful but slightly strained. "Everyone's looking forward to seeing you." I knew everyone didn't include my parents. I hesitated, wanting to tell her about my AI project, but Anna hung up. I stared at the computer screen where the final line of code had just run successfully. I'd sent it to the military anonymously, hoping it would make a difference. But no one in my family knew, and they probably wouldn't care. This morning, I got dressed for the ceremony, standing in front of the mirror, telling myself to just smile and blend into Anna's background. I played Oprah's podcast, listening to her talk about finding light in the darkness. I took a sip of pumpkin spice latte, its bittersweet taste calming my heart. But as I stepped toward the door, my phone buzzed. An email from the military popped up. "We need to meet you." My heart pounded. Was it a mistake? Or was this the moment I'd been waiting for my whole life? The late afternoon sun slips through the hotel window near the military base, where I sit adjusting my dress, preparing for Anna's promotion ceremony. The navy blue dress I chose feels too plain for the formal atmosphere ahead, but I don't want to stand out. In my suitcase, the notebook with Oprah Winfrey's quote lies quietly, as if reminding me to stay strong. I check my email again, the military's message still clear. "We need to meet you." I close the laptop, pushing the thought away, telling myself to just get through tonight without more hurt. As I step into the auditorium, the lively chatter and sparkling chandelier lights make me hesitate. Officers in crisp uniforms, their proud families talking, and my parents standing at the center, glowing beside Anna. I choose a shadowy corner, trying to blend into the crowd, but the feeling of being out of place chokes my chest. A family acquaintance, Linda, approaches, smiling at my mom. "Anna's incredible. What about your other daughter?" My mom bursts out laughing, her tone carefree but sharp as a blade. "Oh, she just messes around with computers. Nothing worth mentioning." I stand there, a few steps away, feeling erased from my own story. I clench my fists, nails digging into my palms, fighting back tears. My mom's words aren't new, but they still pierce, reminding me I've never been their pride. I remember college, presenting my first AI project at a science conference. a male professor cut me off, saying, "Sweetheart, leave this stuff to the men." I stayed silent, but that night, I coded until dawn, determined to prove him wrong. Now, in this auditorium, I wonder if I'm repeating the same mistake, staying quiet in the face of words that wound me. Anna enters, her uniform gleaming with medals, her confident smile lighting up the room. Everyone claps, and I do too, though my heart feels heavy. As she passes by, our eyes meet. I see a flicker of annoyance in Anna's gaze, as if my presence is something she doesn't want. When we were kids, Anna was jealous when I got a scholarship, but she hid it with smiles and jokes. "You're too smart, it puts pressure on me," she once said, but I knew it wasn't a compliment. Now, her look seems to say, "Don't ruin my day." I find an even darker corner, sit down, and pull out my phone to pretend I'm checking messages. Jane, my best friend from college, just texted, "You okay? Don't let them get you down." Jane always understood me, the one who sat with me through Super Bowl games, even though neither of us knew who won. She once said, "Laura, you're a star. They just haven't seen your light." I smile, but the smile fades when my dad approaches, patting my shoulder. "Good of you to come for Anna. Just don't do anything weird, okay?" His words, though soft, sting like a slap. The auditorium suddenly quiets as the base commander steps to the podium. I lower my head, avoiding my parents' or Anna's eyes. But when he starts talking about an unsung hero, my heart races. I glance up, seeing him look my way, his gaze sharp, as if piercing through every secret. Does he really know what I've done, or is this just a moment I'm imagining? Night falls, and the Columbus streetlights cast their glow through the lab window, where I sit alone, staring at a computer screen flashing red errors. The AI system I built, the one that could save thousands of soldiers' lives, is testing my patience. Beside me, Newton yawns, his tail lightly brushing the keyboard as if to comfort me. I rub my eyes, trying to shake off the exhaustion clinging to me after long days of work. But loneliness is the real enemy. My parents' words from Anna's promotion ceremony, "She just messes around with computers," still echo like a refrain that never stops. I remember the STEM conference a few months ago when I presented my AI idea to hundreds of experts. A male colleague, Mark, stood up, cutting me off mid-sentence. "Nice idea, but are you sure you're up to pulling it off?" His smirk triggered chuckles across the room. I stood there, hands trembling, but kept my voice steady to respond. That night, I went home, cried in front of the mirror, and wondered if I truly belonged in this world. But the next morning, I returned to the lab, coding with fierce determination, as if each line was a rebellion. I pick up my phone, wanting to call my mom, to tell her about the project, about the nights I stayed up perfecting the system. But when she answers, her voice brims with excitement. "Anna just got praised at her unit. Isn't she amazing?" I swallow my tears, mumble a few words, and hang up. The phone clatters onto the desk, the sound sharp in the quiet space. I look at Newton, whispering, "Maybe I'll never be enough." But his clear eyes seem to remind me why I started, not for recognition, but to create something meaningful. Sarah, the only other woman in the lab, is a rare light in these dark days. Once, when I nearly gave up over relentless code errors, Sarah brought me a coffee and said, "Laura, you're the best here. Don't let those guys make you doubt yourself." We sat there, sharing stories of being dismissed just for being women in STEM. Sarah told me how her boss once told her to smile more in team meetings. Her story made me laugh, but it also kindled a stubborn fire in me. I turned back to the computer, typing code faster, as if racing against my own fears. Finally, after hundreds of hours,
I finished the AI system. I sent it to the military anonymously, not expecting fame, only hoping it would save someone. The screen flashed, "Sent successfully," and I exhaled, feeling a weight lift. But the joy faded when I got a text from Jane, my college best friend. "How are you after the ceremony? Bet they upset you again?" I haven't replied because I don't know what to say. Jane, who always dragged me to watch the Super Bowl despite knowing I didn't get the rules, is the only one who believes I can do something great. I stand up, walk to the window, and gaze at the twinkling city lights. My phone buzzes, an email from the military titled, "Who are you?" The message is brief but makes my heart pound. "Your project exceeded expectations. We need to meet you immediately." I close the email, telling myself it's just a mistake. But when Sarah's glance catches mine, as if she knows something, a shiver runs through me. Is my secret really safe, or has it already started to unravel? The military base hallway glows with bright lights, the steady clack of officers' dress shoes echoing, but all I hear is my own pounding heartbeat. I stand tucked into a corner, dodging the curious glances of passers-by before Anna's promotion ceremony. In my hand, my phone still displays the cryptic email from the military. "We need to meet you immediately." I swipe my finger across the screen, tempted to delete it, but a deep voice startles me. "You're Laura, aren't you?" I look up to face a tall man in uniform, the base commander, known to me only from photos on the military's website. He studies me, his gaze sharp but not cold, as if searching for something. I nod, my voice catching. "Yes, sir." He smiles faintly and says, "I recognized your name from the AI project report. You worked anonymously, but we don't overlook talent like that." I freeze, feeling the floor drop beneath me. The AI project, something I sent off just to help others, expecting no attention, now pulls me into a spotlight I'm not ready to face. I stammer, trying to explain, but he raises a hand to stop me. "We'll talk more after the ceremony," he says, then turns away, leaving me with a storm of emotions swirling inside. I enter the auditorium, struggling to regain my composure. The rows of seats are nearly full, lively chatter mingling with the clink of wine glasses. I sit down, clutching my notebook, where Oprah's quote lies like a protective charm. I recall listening to her talk about rising after failure on a night I nearly gave up my science dreams. Her words held me together then, and I need them now more than ever. But when my eyes meet Anna's, radiant on the stage like a star, I feel small again. She's the center of every gaze, while I'm just a faint shadow. The ceremony begins, and the commander steps to the podium. He speaks of courage, of unsung heroes, and I assume he's praising officers like Anna. But then he pauses, his eyes scanning the room, locking onto me. "Today, we don't just honor those on the battlefield," he says, his voice resounding. "We also celebrate someone who saved thousands of soldiers without firing a shot, the mind behind the game-changing AI system." The auditorium falls silent. "Laura," he calls, his tone filled with respect. "You are that person, and the Department of Defense wants you to take on the role of director overseeing AI science." The room seems to hold its breath. Anna turns, eyes wide, her hand gripping the microphone tightly. My parents in the front row go pale, their expressions flickering between shock and regret. Guests whisper, the murmurs rippling through the auditorium like waves. I sit there, feeling my heart laid bare under the lights, both proud and terrified. I think back to the night I finished the AI system, with Newton curled beside me, when I whispered to him, If I can save just one person, I've done something. I never imagined it would lead to this moment where all my secrets are exposed. I stand, legs trembling, but the commander's gaze lends me strength. I walk to the podium not to boast, but to say one thing. I just wanted to help. The auditorium erupts in applause, but I only see Anna's eyes. Not jealousy, but a mix of astonishment and something deeper. As I return to my seat, my parents look at me, for the first time as if truly seeing me. Yet deep inside, a question gnaws. Do they really understand me, or is this just a fleeting moment of glory? The applause in the auditorium slowly fades, but the air remains heavy, as if every eye is still fixed on me. I return to my seat, legs still trembling, feeling like I've just stepped out of an unreal dream. The commander has resumed his speech, but I can't hear clearly anymore. Across from me, Anna stands on the stage, her uniform gleaming, but her gaze no longer sweeps the crowd. She looks at me, and for the first time, I see a different emotion. Not her usual confidence, but a flicker of confusion, as if she's seeing a sister she never truly knew.
I lower my head, running my hand over the notebook in my bag, where Oprah's quote seems to whisper, "You become what you believe." But the spark of pride in me is quickly overshadowed by a wave of memories. I recall childhood days when Anna and I played in the backyard in Ohio, her shooting hoops while I sat reading about the cosmos. Once I tried teaching her about the Orion constellation, but she laughed. "You're always dreaming silly things." Those childish words, looking back, planted the seed of distance between us. I always thought Anna didn't need me, but her look now tells a different story. My parents, seated in the front row, remain silent, their faces caught between regret and unease. I feel my mother's gaze, no longer the usual indifference, but as if she's searching for words. But I'm not ready to face them. The years they praised Anna, throwing parties for every medal she earned, while I got only, "Keep trying, you'll find your path," it's all still too fresh, like an unhealed scar. I wonder if they ever realized I didn't need parties, just a simple, "What are you working on, Laura?" The ceremony ends, and people start moving to the reception hall. I stand, intending to slip away quietly, but Anna suddenly appears in front of me. The crowd around us seems to fade, leaving just the two of us. "Sis," she says, her voice slightly shaky, "I didn't know. I had no idea you were doing things like this." I look into her eyes, seeing a rare sincerity. "I always thought you were strong, but I was jealous, Laura. You're smarter than me, and I was afraid I'd never measure up." Her confession cuts like a knife, both painful and freeing. I want to hug her, but I only nod, my voice catching. "You don't need to measure up to anyone, Anna." My parents approach, hesitant. Dad speaks first, his voice low. "Laura, we didn't expect you to achieve such great things." Mom clutches Dad's hand, her eyes red, but I don't hear an apology, only the unease of people realizing they were wrong. I take a deep breath and say, "I don't need you to be proud. I just wanted respect." Those words, though soft, are the first time I've set a boundary with them. I turn and walk to the reception hall, feeling both relieved and empty. Outside, the night breeze carries the scent of dry grass. I stand alone, looking up at the sky, searching for the Orion constellation like I did as a child. Jane texts, "You did it, my star." I smile, but the smile doesn't last. Sarah, my colleague, once said, "When you're recognized, brace for what comes next." Her words echo in my mind, and a shiver runs through me. Now that the world knows who I am I ready to face the spotlight?
or will it burn me out? The morning after, sunlight slips through the curtains of my small Columbus apartment, casting streaks of light across the desk where Newton dozes. I sit there, fingers gliding over the keyboard, but not to code. Instead, to type the first lines of a book. Sarah, the colleague who became a soulmate through lonely lab days, sparked this idea. "Laura, your story needs to be told," she said over coffee yesterday morning, her eyes blazing. "Not just about AI, but how you overcame it all, family, prejudice, and your own doubts." Her words fanned a flame I'd buried for years. I start writing, not to boast, but to set myself free. Each word is a piece of a journey I thought no one cared about. Nights crying in the garage while my parents praised Anna. Times male colleagues mocked me at STEM conferences. And the moment I stood on the promotion ceremony stage, speaking my truth. I titled the book Silent but Shining, a reminder that light doesn't need to be loud to dazzle. When I send the manuscript to the publisher, my hands tremble, not from fear of failure, but because I'm letting the world see my heart. The book launches on a crisp fall day, and I never expected it to touch thousands of women across America. On social media, the hashtag Silent but Shining spreads like wildfire, carrying stories from those who've been overlooked. A female engineer told by her boss to work more gently. A teacher whose family called her unambitious. I read every comment, every reader's letter, tears streaming down my face. A young girl writes, "Thank you for giving me the courage to believe in myself." My heart warms, as if old scars have turned into twinkling stars. The book signing in New York is the pinnacle of that journey. I stand in a packed bookstore, soft lights enveloping me, facing hundreds of women, each with her own story. I share the night I nearly gave up, when my computer screen was riddled with errors and my heart with doubt. "But I thought of the soldiers who could be saved," I say, my voice trembling, and I remembered I didn't need anyone to validate my worth. The crowd applauds, and I spot Jane, my college best friend, in the corner, flashing a thumbs up with a radiant smile. We used to watch the Super Bowl, laughing about not knowing the rules, but Jane always believed I was a star. I sign each book, listening to readers' stories. A woman in her 40s grips my hand. "I thought I was worthless because I wasn't like my sister. Your story changed me." I hug her, feeling my own pain, now fueling strength for others. As the event ends, I step onto the balcony, gazing at New York's bustling crowds, feeling I've found where I belong, not in the spotlight, but in the hearts I've touched. But when I check my phone, an email from the Department of Defense pops up. "We need you in Washington next week. The director role awaits." My heart races. I've conquered the shadows of my past, but this new light, fame, responsibility, is it too brilliant, or will it burn me out? A light rain falls on the familiar Columbus street, droplets shimmering under the streetlights like tiny lost stars. I sit in my apartment, Newton curled up on my lap, his warmth easing the tension inside me. On the table, silent but shining, lies open, the final page still marked by the pen I used to sign a reader's copy. The book's success, along with the hashtag Silent but Shining spreading across social media, has brought me a joy I never imagined. But the email from the Department of Defense, with its invitation to Washington, hovers like a cloud, leaving me uncertain about what lies ahead. A light rain falls on the familiar Columbus street, droplets shimmering under the streetlights like tiny lost stars. I sit in my apartment, Newton curled up on my lap, his warmth easing the tension inside me. On the table, silent but shining, lies open, the final page still marked by the pen I used to sign a reader's copy. The book's success, along with the hashtag Silent but Shining spreading across social media, has brought me a joy I never imagined. But the email from the Department of Defense, with its invitation to Washington, hovers like a cloud, leaving me uncertain about what lies ahead. My parents show up one quiet afternoon, knocking on my apartment door with an awkwardness I've never seen. They step inside, Mom clutching a copy of my book, its creased cover showing it's been carefully read. Dad begins, his voice low, choosing each word deliberately. They said we were wrong, that we didn't see who you really are. Mom looks at me, her eyes welling up. Laura, we didn't know you'd done such incredible things. We're sorry. That apology, though late, stings my heart, like an old wound being touched. I stand there, gently stroking Newton's back, searching for a response. Part of me wants to hug them, to erase the years of being overlooked. But a stronger part reminds me I've come too far to need their validation. Thank you, I say, my voice calm but firm. But I didn't do these things to make you proud. I did them because I believed in them. I just hope, from now on, we can respect each other. Mom nods, tears streaming down, while Dad holds her hand, as if learning to understand me for the first time. They leave, and I sink onto the couch, opening my laptop. A video on social media catches my eye. Dozens of women sharing their stories with the hashtag #SilentButShining hashtag. One speaks of being mocked by her family for choosing to be an artist, another of years being dismissed by male colleagues in tech. Each story is a piece of a mosaic, forming a picture of resilience I feel part of. I smile, not out of pride, but because my pain has become light for others. I stand and walk to the bookshelf where I keep a small rocket model from childhood. I touch it, recalling nights lying on the Ohio grass, gazing at the Orion constellation and dreaming of the cosmos. That dream, though unrealized, led me here, a scientist, an author, a woman who found her worth beyond others' eyes. I open my notebook and write a new line. Let your light shine, even if no one sees. Those words, I know, are not just for me, but for every woman who's felt invisible. As I prepare for bed, my phone buzzes. A message from Anna, whom I haven't spoken to since the ceremony. Sis, I read your book. I want to meet. There's something I need to say. My heart stirs with unease. After years of distance, does Anna truly want to understand me, or is another secret waiting to be unveiled? The dawn casts golden light over the park near my apartment, where I walk along a path shaded by red leaves, my breath mingling with the crisp autumn air. Newton, now used to these peaceful mornings, trots behind me, his tail swaying like a tiny metronome. Silent but Shining has opened new horizons, but I choose to stay in Columbus, where I can hear the rustle of leaves and feel the slow rhythm of life. Today, I carry a new notebook, not for Oprah's quotes, but to sketch plans for a program supporting young women in STEM, a dream I've nurtured since my lonely lab days. Each step reminds me of the journey I've traveled. After meeting my parents, I realized forgiveness doesn't erase the past, but allows me to move forward. I've started contacting universities, hosting workshops, and inviting young girls to my lab. One afternoon, I stand before a group of female students, sharing the time a male colleague mocked me at a STEM conference. They said I wasn't good enough, I say calmly, but I turned their doubt into fuel to build an AI system that saves lives. The girls clap, their eyes sparkling, and I see in them a younger version of myself, eager to shine even if the world isn't ready.
Jane, my steadfast friend who's always been my tailwind, flies in from Chicago for one of my workshops. We sit in a cozy cafe, sipping pumpkin spice lattes, laughing about our college days, watching the Super Bowl just for the wings. "I knew you'd do something big," Jane says, her eyes twinkling. But I'm proudest that you didn't let pain define you. Her words choke me up. I realize my journey isn't just about AI or the book, but about rediscovering myself, the girl who lay on Ohio grass dreaming of stars. The hashtag silent but shining community has become a movement. I receive emails from across the country, from a coder in Seattle to a scientist in Boston, all sharing how they overcame prejudice to pursue their passions. I reply to each, not as a director or best-selling author, but as a sister, a friend. I post on social media, believe in your light no matter what anyone says. Share your story with hashtag silent but shining because every story is a star. The post spreads and I feel an invisible connection with women I've never met. When I return to my apartment, Anna is waiting at the door. This time, she's not in uniform, just a sweater and jeans, looking more approachable than ever. "Sis," she says softly, "I read your book and I realized I was wrong. I want to start over, as real sisters." I invite her in and we sit by the window talking about things we never dared. Jealousy, pressure, and the love we still have, though buried for years. As Anna leaves, I hug her, feeling an old door creak open. That night, I stand in the lab, gazing through the window at the sky, where the Orion constellation glimmers. I think of my childhood astronaut dreams and realize I've soared, not into space, but through my own darkness. I open my notebook and write, "Ask yourself, who has overlooked you and how will you shine?"